Biafra attacked the former deputy president of the Senate, Ekweremadu, in the German city of Nuremberg. Ekweremadu had traveled to Germany on invitation to celebrate the second annual Igbo Cultural Festival held in the German city. In a video that trended on social media, the visitor was chased out of the event venue by some men who assaulted him. These ugly acts attracted reactions and condemnations by various political parties, leaders, and other well-meaning Nigerians home and abroad. They described the attack as shameful, unacceptable, unjustifiable, and barbaric. For President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, the attack in the present 21st century was uncalled for, as he is not responsible for whatever happens in the southeastern Nigeria. This unruly behavior of the attackers did not speak well of them, as Nigerians who are known to have high regards for elders and the constituted authority. But what could have been responsible for this behavior to their invited guest, who is known to be a great patriot and leader of exemplary behavior? Well, the victim, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, has since returned to Nigeria, and he said he has pardoned them. The big question is the attack a transfer of aggression or a calculated attempt to humiliate the former Deputy Senate President? Is this part of our culture as responsible Nigerians? Could some people be behind the incident? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria are waiting to provide answers.
All right, that's the background report there put together by our correspondent Kunle Adeyeye. We have two guests with us in the studios, and also we'll be joined by two other guests from Germany via Skype. First, let's welcome Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, who is the Chairman, CEO of Nigeria Diaspora Commission. Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, pleasure to have with us on.
Thank you and good morning.
Okay, also here with us on Good Morning Nigeria today is a regular on Good Morning on the program, Dr. Law Mefo is a forensic and social psychologist, but also a very close associate of Senator Ike Ekweremadu, who was assaulted in Nuremberg last weekend. Dr. Mefo, pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as Kingsley indicated, we have two guests joining us from Nuremberg, Germany. We're being joined via Skype by Ikechukwu Okafo, who is in Germany, live for us there via Skype. Ikechukwu, thank you very much for joining us. And also from Germany, via Skype, we have Kenneth Gbandi, who's a peace research and conflict mediation expert. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me on the program.
All right, let's begin the discussion with Law Mefo, who is a close associate.
I was wondering, just before we get in, just to indicate that our producers had been in touch with the Nigerian ambassador, who is in Berlin. That's Ambassador Yusuf Maitama Tuga, and he had indicated that he will be part of this conversation, but we're expecting that perhaps he might join us before we wrap up the conversation.
All right, so now let's begin with Law Mefo. You are close to Senator Ekweremadu.
I am.
And of course, you've had a very detailed conversation with him on what actually happened. So can you give us a graphic description of what actually happened on the 17th of August?
Oh, well, to begin with, the incident is most embarrassing, most unusual. Is something that you can't just, put your finger on directly. So many things appear to be at play here for me. I'll come to that shortly. Ekweremadu was duly invited by the Igbos in Germany for, New Year Festival, amongst other things. He essentially wanted to use the opportunity to work on even attracting investors, to Nigeria, especially the Southeast, as he has often done. And before that, there was a video I watched where the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, issued a directive that Nyewodo and others that were active in bringing on Operation Python Dance 2 should not be allowed to be part of that program. Now, Ekweremadu happened to be the only one that attended. When he arrived, he actually wanted to, greet people he met in the arena before entering the main hall. Unknown to him, those people detailed by Nnamdi Kanu accosted him, assaulted him, and of course you saw the video. And the issue here is this. Shortly after, the spokesman of IPOB, he goes by the name Emma Powerful, made a statement given the reason why they attacked Ekweremadu and why they would attack more. They gave a long list of those on the attack list, and they said that they met, instigated, funded, activated Operation Python Dance. This to me is a bit absurd. I'll tell you why. You see, Ekweremadu was instrumental, to the release of Nnamdi Kanu from Kuje prison. He helped in helping Nnamdi Kanu meet his bail conditions. You all know how stringent the bail conditions were. If he didn't want Nnamdi Kanu out and free, he would, it was cheaper for him to leave him in there and even frustrate any effort to bring him out. Now, here, the same man that should be seen as an ally, what you may call in the Bible context, a Nicodemus, he have sympathy for certain things without coming out openly to do so. Ekweremadu was on the side of the IPOB for the simple reason that they are Igbo youths. So to turn around and say that he instigated, funded, activated Operation Python Dance 2 is to me absurd and lacks logic on the whole.
All right.
So that's the initial shot I can give to this.
Yeah, we'll return to you to examine further the motive and motivation for the attack on Senator Ekweremadu. We have two guests whom we've already introduced via Skype from Germany. Ikechukwu Okafor, who, of course, is in Nuremberg in Germany. That's the locus of the assault. Ikechukwu, could you recollect for our viewers what transpired on the 17th of August?
Good morning. First, I will start by thanking and appreciating the efforts so far by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Because she also sent, actually because it was a very short notice, so she also sent somebody on the same day to represent her at that event. It's just a coincidence. The moment it was at the time we were arriving at the venue, so we arrived, our car was parked in front of the car that brought in the former deputy Senate president. So I saw, when I got down from the car, I saw people rushing to his car. So I was thinking that maybe they just say hello. And all of a sudden I started seeing eggs flying everywhere. So I started throwing eggs at him, and mostly at people around the area where his car was parked. It was even by luck that one of the eggs did not hit the representative of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. So, and from that onset, chaos erupted. So we tried as much as we could. At first, nobody knew what was happening. So when we realized what was really happening, we tried as much as we could to calm down the situation. So, and the rest is the pictures and videos you're getting from the social media.
Ikechukwu, we've seen some of the videos taken at the scene that you described as some chaos. But I was wondering, after Ekweremadu was spirited out of that environment, what happened later?
Yeah, what happened was that some people, some angry people, let me just put it this way, were arrested by the police. And not only arrested, they were just taken aside, moved from the main venue, and their identities have to be established, and their names, their addresses. So the police were doing their job. And yesterday, I also spoke to the policeman in charge. So he told me they are still on the investigation. So the most important thing is that it's before it could become a serious criminal case, Ekweremadu has to place charges, which he now publicly denounced in Nigeria that he has forgiven them. So if anything should happen now, it's going to come from the side of the state, from the prosecutor general in Germany here. So I don't think nothing much will come out of it, except we Nigerians here want to place or rather push more, which I personally am not in support of such.
Ikechukwu Okafor, you've talked about Ekweremadu saying that he has forgiven his attackers. That has to do with whether he wants to pursue any of his rights that have been violated in the civil matter. But if there are criminal issues arising, he has no control over that. And if the German authorities actually want to go ahead to prosecute, they will do that. But I still would like you to tell us, did the Yam Festival continue after that attempt at assaulting Ekweremadu, and what were the immediate comments by the attendees if the ceremony proceeded as they are scheduled?
Absolutely. The event went on afterwards when, in fact, we were even thinking that as human, we all can understand that the sitting very deep, so he could not make it back. The ambassador, the Nigerian ambassador to Germany was there. The representative of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission was there. So I actually was the one in charge of the dignitary sent from the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. So everything went well. She gave her speech, was received with applause, and yeah, we all had our fun the way we planned to do it.
All right, Ikechukwu, we seem to be having issues with connecting with you there via Skype. We hope that the network improves in the course of this discussion. But let's bring in Honorable Abike Dabri-Arewa, who's the chairman and CEO for the Nigerians and Diaspora Commission.
Thank you.
Ma, what do you make of all of this that has happened?
Not good for the image of the country. We keep saying we're treated. Somebody called me yesterday and said, well, we have a new name, egg throwers and stone throwers. Landed in Berlin. I was like, oh, you're Nigerian. Oh, the egg throwers. Forget about the personality. Forget about whether it's a group. We are Nigerians. So whatever happens, it tells on the image of our country, of us all. So it's something that will affect every one of us. And like I said, when this thing happened, it's pathetic, it's shamefully pathetic, and it's a national embarrassment. We're not saying don't protest, we're not saying don't be angry, but in another man's country, at an event, in fact, the gentleman who just spoke, they put in so much effort into making that event. I remember he came here like 3 times, inviting dignitaries, to try and attend and all that. So forget about whether there are issues. I could be angry with you, but it's the solution at a public event in another man's country to throw stones and eggs and tear. I mean, come on. There's no excuse whatsoever. If imagine they came to that hall with their banners or, singing and then telling the Ekweremadu, we're angry with you at one thing or the other. But you do not in another man's country, where laws are meant to be respected. So even when you say human rights, they're not going to allow you to that was violence, against somebody who wasn't expected. And then when people said to me, oh, well, you were the first to issue a statement, he's this and that, I said, no. The fact is Nigeria first. And one of the reasons why we should have an offenders register in all our embassies. And we're going to push for that. This kind of visitors, we should have them listed as offenders. And someday they'll still come back to Nigeria. So let's look at it from the nationalistic point of view. It's him today, it could be anybody tomorrow. And then basically to us as Nigerians. Somebody sent me a message this morning that in some airport, maybe Nairobi or something, they'll pull you aside as a Nigerian and now rescan your yellow passport, your yellow card. Why? Because a lot of Nigerians are going with fake yellow cards. So when you go with the fake yellow, they now see you as, oh, that yellow card, we can't trust you, we can't trust the information, take you aside, now scan you specially. So those are things that is one of the things that I think will rubbish our image. It's not government, it's about us and the way we conduct ourselves and the things we do.
Well, Ikechukwu, speaking to us a while ago, indicated that a representative of your commission was at the event. What report did you get from your representative?
I got the first-hand report from her, and that was why it was very easy for us to immediately condemn the act. And she told me that after the Ekweremadu incident, actually, like he said, the event continued. The ambassador gave a speech, she gave a speech. It was very colorful, it was very beautiful, and it was very well attended. It was a beautiful ceremony. So after the Ekweremadu incident, they all left. Like you said, some people were actually, well, we call it arrested, but they were taken away, asked some questions. That, like you said, in Germany, it's a civil matter, it's not a criminal matter, except the complainer goes and says, or somebody there could say, oh, they injured, but nobody, so it went very well. She showed me the pictures, it was beautiful, it was colorful, you would even be proud of the Igbo culture, so like you said, it went very well. The whole event was concluded, the ambassador to give his own speech, people gave their speeches, there was a lot of the normal Yam Festival ceremony, so unfortunately that was the only part of the ceremony that went viral.
Yes, that's right. Well, thank you, Honorable Abikadabre. We earlier introduced Kenneth Bandi on Skype, also joining us from Germany. You can see him there. So, Kenneth, what's your own recollection of what transpired? In particular, tell us something. Was there any hint that this unruly behavior might erupt at the festival in Nuremberg?
Well, thank you first of all for having me on the program, and my compliment to our chairman, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, Honorable Abikadabre. Yes, in addition to myself also being a expert on peace and security mediation, I'm also the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Organization, Europe, for Continental Europe. Of course, we expected such incident, so to say, and then we also, in our condemnation for any act of violence, we've maintained that the organizers of the event, they should actually take that into consideration and make an adequate security arrangement. What we can make out of that, I'm not speaking for the Nigerian embassy, what we can make out for that if a necessary precaution has taken into consideration, that probably this ugly incident could have been avoided. What do I mean by that? First, our former deputy president, Senate president, came in with a private car, which is actually very good. It's commendable because it has actually indicated that he has this willingness to interact with his own people. Rather than flying the normal official car. From our recollection, from our experience in Germany of 23 years, if our former deputy Senate president had decided to fly on a diplomatic car via the embassy, the security arrangement would have been much different. So yes, we understand that there's a lot of dissatisfaction from the diaspora on certain issues, which as diaspora and as professionals we expected to look into the laws of the land and address things the way they should be professionally. So yes, I think we expected such incident to happen, and I would have expected the organizers to take a maximum precaution for that.
When did you begin to get a sense that there was likely to be an attack on any visitor, any distinguished visitor from Nigeria? And what is so much at foot? Lawmaker here has given us a rundown of the efforts by Senator Ekweremadu to ensure that Nnamdi Kanu, who is the leader of the proscribed IPOB, got his bail while he was at Kuje prison. Why then would he be a target of the kind of unruly behavior that we saw last weekend?
Well, I think he's magnanimous enough by actually putting up a statement that he has forgiven the attacker, which is actually exemplary and good to probably de-escalate the issue. And I would want to say basically that the unruly behavior we experienced in Nuremberg does not represent a typical behavior of the Nigerians in diaspora. Of course, we know that such issues rub on everybody, but it's actually not expected. What am I trying to say by that? We have different opinion on several issues in Nigeria, several issues on policies, several issues on this security situation in Nigeria, and so forth and so on. But we expected that we should be able to, debate as a professionals and as diasporan these issues and actually come to a compromise on that. So we know that there are people who probably see things differently and want to, impose their opinion on other people, and that is where we're actually totally against that. That having stayed so much in Germany, having stayed so much in Europe, we enjoy the freedom of freedom of speech, which we are enjoying here. We enjoy the democratic values, like Honorable Ekweremadu already mentioned. You have a right to protest and even do all the necessary things to express your dissatisfaction. That is part of the policy, the advantage of a democratic country. But immediately you decide to use violence to impose your will on the opinion of other person, then of course it becomes totally unacceptable. So we are saying that such behavior is basically not acceptable. People might probably feel differently about whatever opinion they hold on to, which there are many of, or I wouldn't say many of them, couple of them. So we expect that in every debate, people are actually having a strong different opinion, but throwing eggs and violent attack is definitely not part of it.
Thank you very, very much. We'll get back to you in the course of this discourse. Let's bring in Honorable Ekweremadu again. Before now, we've seen that in some parts of the world, Nigerians are already, suffering some form of discrimination or attacks. With this happening, isn't that going to give other nationals opportunity to now attack us? And what is your commission doing in terms of engaging the people that we have in diaspora to ensure that this kind of incident doesn't happen again?
Well, we just won't allow it to happen. You don't allow yourself to be stigmatized. I've said it severally. So that a group of people, 5, 10 people, did what they did does not reflect me and does not reflect you. So the way you conduct yourself matters. So don't allow stigmatization. Never allow it. And we keep saying that. We keep engaging Nigerians abroad through the various... and I'm glad that, no reasonable person will see any sense in that. And again, one thing is, try to let the embassy know, especially, if you're a top government official, if you're around. It's important to inform them. You might say you inform them they did nothing, but it's always important that you inform the embassy of your visit or the fact that you're having a program in any of these countries. So I think that is also important for us. So basically, we, like I said, we were there, the commission was represented. So we try to be engage as many as we can, within our limited resources, do the best we can. So it's the engagement will always be continuous. But again, it's very important, like I said, that you inform the embassy of your move. Even students, when you go to a university, in Ukraine, for instance, we had a case of a student that was killed not too long ago. You are not aware that the student is there. So we're going to have some kind of, enlightenment program. A lot of people will say, we don't want to go to the embassy. They are this and that. But at least let them know I'm a student. I'm in this country. This is what I'm studying. Just document yourself there. If you get into trouble at the day shop is another thing. They won't say, we didn't know anything. The guy that was killed in Malaysia prison, when the Malaysian authorities arrested him, they didn't tell the embassy. It was when he died that they now informed the embassy. And that's why it was very easy for the embassy to take it up. Why didn't you tell us whether a citizen in your prison? So it's very important. And right now, good enough, a diaspora desk have been created in every embassy. So we're soon going to announce the diaspora desk officers at every embassy in Nigeria so that the desk you'll go to there's a desk we will communicate with. You don't need to look for the ambassador. So there'll be a contact person in every embassy. And then states also need to get more involved in diaspora issues. So we hope every state will have a focal person for the diaspora, so that even in terms of investments, so we have about 10 states now some have commissioners, some have advisors on diaspora. So we want to hope that every state will see this as very important, not just because of the remittances that, we're always talking about, but the fact that there's a lot of good things in the diaspora, and it's important to tap into it. So we keep doing as much as we can. And even at the commission, by the time we move to our headquarters, we're going to have the EFCC. We're working with the EFCC. So if, for instance, you've been defrauded abroad, there's a desk to report to. Immigration, we'll be working with them. A major problem are passports. So, we'll see how we can ease the problems, working with the Commission and other relevant agencies.
Well, still with you, the CEO of the Diaspora Commission, the summer season is usually very active with regard to various socio-cultural organizations in the diaspora and the various branches of the Diaspora Commission, of the Nigerians in diaspora, in the Americas, in Europe. And we have seen a flow of dignitaries who are invited from Nigeria to make appearances, such as Ekweremadu was going to make at Nuremberg. In your opinion, and against the background of the threat, of further assault and attacks, what might happen to some of these festivals or these meets that you normally have Nigerians organize in different parts of the world, and the interaction that comes with those who are invited from home to participate in such events?
I just say that don't let them succeed in their aim, which is to make you afraid. You shouldn't be. And interesting, there's been a lot of jokes on social media about these issues. Did you see the guy holding stones behind him? Say, I'm waiting for a New Yam Festival. Then even jokes about some governors, they were invited for New Yam Festival, and the governor said, I will eat yam at home. So there's been quite a lot of this. But don't be afraid. And then, like I said, maybe more precaution. You're having an event, the embassy should know. You have a dignitary coming, let the embassy know you're around. Just we walk to the embassy, informing them of your presence, would help. But really, there's nothing to worry about. Now, this particular, several times, I've been in Canada at an event, and IPOP came to demonstrate. They came in here singing songs. They call Buhari terrorists. They said all sorts of things. They abuse people in the hall, and we listened to them. And at the end of the day, I addressed them. And by the time I finished with them, they now invited me to address the whole community in that area. And I said, look, I wish people were talking to us the way you're talking to us. Then I said I should come to the whole community, made up of my brothers from the Southeast. And we ended up, having a very robust conversation. So it's not as if they don't protest, but this one of attacking a person is just a way out. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Many events are going on. They will continue to go on. And then there must be consequences for actions. And like I said, the diaspora desk, if we had an offenders register, the names of those people are on that register. So even if nothing is happening there, you can't commit such a crime and just walk away with it like that. So on our own part, like I said, we're going to have an offenders register to deal with that particular issue, just as we deal with other issues that affect Nigerians in the diaspora. So that that there just may be consequence for your action. So Nigerians, don't be afraid of anything, but let the embassy know when you're around.
Kingsley, I'd like to bring in Lomefo. You were itching to speak to what Ikechukwu had said earlier, that the victim, Senator Ekweremadu, said he has forgiven them, he has pardoned them. Yeah. Is that an amnesty for those who have committed this act?
Well, I had a long conversation with Senator Ekweremadu on this issue yesterday, and he repeated this because I asked the same question. Are you going to press charges? He said he wouldn't. That he has forgiven and he has moved on. But if the officialdom decides to process the matter further, he wouldn't stop them. He said same when he arrived at the airport, at Abuja airport. So what that means to me is that even if Senator Ekweremadu has forgiven, as a statesman, those whose responsibility it is to keep the law must do their job. I don't think it is right for the German authorities to wait for Senator Ekweremadu to press charges. I told you there was a video where this order was issued. It's everywhere. Are they saying that after seeing such video that gave an order for an attack, not for a demonstration or a protest? I want us to get this clearly. If the order was to protest the presence of Ekweremadu, I wouldn't have any problems with it. But the word used was attack. So if the order was to attack and they attacked, there must be consequence. If there is no consequence, this will continue. And it is not good for us as a country. And as an Igbo man myself, I will not be happy. The reason is because this is rubbing off and coloring the entire ethnic group as same. It's not true. We are not all IPOB members, even though you have many of us that have sympathy for the struggle, but we have often told them about the method. The method is raw, unrefined. Look at the language, unprintable words. You cannot engage any decent authority in such language. And we have often made that case. You have a good cause, and it affects so many. But let us objectively present this matter in a manner that they can connect with everybody, and people can listen, and they see what they can do in agreeing or disagreeing with you.
What were the immediate thoughts of Ekweremadu? Apparently, it would appear that he was taken by surprise.
He was.
What were his immediate thoughts upon realizing that he was under a hail of stones and eggs?
Well, he said he stopped to greet before entering the hall. So you can see that he expected, a welcome, right? And like I said before, Ekweremadu does not have any reason to fear IPOB members. For me, this is a height of ingratitude. Do you remember that when Operation Python Dance was activated, Ekweremadu, as Deputy Senate President, wrote a protest letter to President Buhari to call off the Python Dance? It's there. It's on record. He didn't stop there. He went further to negotiate the withdrawal of troops from the southeast. Ekweremadu did so in his capacity as the highest ranking Igbo politician and official. And of course, what he considered to be his responsibility to the youths that are involved in this agitation. Even though he didn't agree with their methods and all that, he didn't think that they should be left in the harm's way. Do you understand that? Now, does it really sound logical that the man that took these steps, can ordinarily become a patent enemy of the same group whose leadership he had tried to,
Yeah, and then suddenly the eggs started flying, the stones started flying, his cap was removed.
And that is why I said that this is not about Operation Python Dance. I am a psychologist. This will unravel. You will get to see that there is much more to this. This is political. What is going on is political. It's not about Ekweremadu. For me, what is going on is an attempt to liquidate any Igbo man of note that can lay claim upon representing Nigeria in presidential capacity. That is what I feel. And I stand to be corrected. Time shall tell. There is no doubt that this is what is at play. And that is the only reason they can go on ahead and sacrifice somebody as crucial to their struggle as Ekweremadu. And by so doing, activated, do you know what they have done? For me even, what has happened is a credit to Ekweremadu. Because many people had often thought that Ekweremadu is sponsoring them, is pampering them. Now they know better. Do you understand that? So for me, it's advantageous to Ekweremadu. and a great negative consequence to Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB struggle. Because have you seen a single organization that agreed with the IPOB on what they did? Not one. We have more than 400 Igbo organizations, not one approved it, at home and the diaspora. So they have lost their sympathizers.
Okay, Dr. Lobefo, thank you very much. I'd like us to return to Kenneth Bangi, who is with us still via Skype. He's chair of NIDO in Europe. Kenneth Bangi, I would like you to speak to this. Well, the attackers of Ekweremadu would appear not to have been aliens. I mean, these were not foreigners. They seemed, if they had the IPOB instinct, then it would appear that they were Nigerians. Do you or members of your organization know the identity of these persons? And if you know the identity of the attackers, who are they? Are they stragglers, or are they persons who are well off, in Germany? Were they just picked up from the fringes of adversity, to come around and assault the former Deputy Senate President?
Well, that's a very good question. The answer is simple, that credit to the Nigerian Diaspora Commission and credit to NIMC. In diaspora, we've just flagged up the diaspora registration. The idea is to really, have a comprehensive database of Nigerians in diaspora. So we can definitely be in the position to say XYZ took part in this account. Now, I'm not trying to avoid your question. We have a lot of Nigerians, or we have a lot of migrants. It's not specifically to Nigerian. That probably answers A in official language or official situation, and answer B in a private situation. So you might actually think you know Mr. A by Mr. A name, only to find out that Mr. A names in the register is not Mr. A names. And so you can definitely only be able to pinpoint that Mr. A has taken a part in such an ugly situation if you have a definite proof that Mr. A name as in the public is what.
Oh, shame. I think we lost him. I don't know if our Skype to Ikechukwu is still... Ikechukwu, if we still have Ikechukwu Okafor. Ikechukwu Okafor was, of course, one of those who ran errands for the community back and forth, as Abika indicated earlier. If Ikechukwu is online as well, Ikechukwu, give us a sense. I mean, take the question I posed to Kenneth. Do we know those who were the ringleaders, as it were, those who actually threw the stones? Some of the videos we have seen, if you can play them back in slow motion and say, yes, I know this person, I know this person. Are these persons are they comfortable, or are they stragglers?
Absolutely. We know almost everyone. I personally don't know them, but we have means of knowing who they are. Because in the first place, if we don't know them, they wouldn't enjoy the comfort of being amongst us before the arrival of the senator. Everybody there is known to us. In fact, at the moment, as we are speaking, there's a process going on that we are trying to identify everybody and know which group and which state or city he or she is living, and to know how to take care of such things next time. So we know all of them. Another thing I would like to come back to is, at this point, if we start trading blames, it's not going to help anybody, because talking about the security issue, I myself am a security consultant because I have a master's degree in security strategy. If we had known there had been any kind of indication or indice that such thing will happen, we would have taken care of it. And there are certain things you cannot take care of. If you could remember, there is still in this same Germany, 3 or 4 ladies protested in front of the Russian president. It's just a similar issue. She has had eggs thrown at her too. So by the time we start trading blames, we at the same time forget the discourse. What are we really talking about? We should be talking about what happened, what led to it. And sometimes when I speak to the people living in diaspora, we have a lot of problems. And when I go to Nigeria or even contact the embassy, try to talk to some people to see if there's a way to help us, the only person I think that actually, to a very great extent, understand the things I'm talking about is the chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. So I'm surprised because for instance now, let me just give you a small example. For an average Nigerian who has a German passport for reasons best known to him, I have both citizenship, so I don't have problems with such. But for an average Nigerian who has only German passports for, I don't know, whatever the reason it may be, for him to come to Nigeria now, since last year, he is going to spend nothing less than 500 euros just to acquire a visa. So these are the issues that most of them couldn't even come to Nigeria again, and sometimes they just get this kind of clips from WhatsApp or Facebook, and they believe things are going wrong. Another thing I would also like to talk about is the issue of Ekweremadu being asked about Operation Python Dance or whatever. There are certain people that, due to their position or whatever it may be in this society, I'm talking about Germany, they are not really comfortable the way they thought they would be. And that is why it's easy for somebody who hasn't maybe in his own life achieved anything to come and tell them what to do. So if we start talking about somebody instructing people to go and do things against a senator of this republic, we are going to, I think, when we repeat it too often, we are giving credit to where credit isn't supposed to go. So we shouldn't be talking about, somebody telling somebody, if you come to this country, we throw stones at you. There was some of them were in the same Nuremberg, I think 2 weeks or last week. So they couldn't do anything. We should talk about what led to the situation, take care of it in the future. It's not to trade, and it has been happening, even to high
Okay, Rhoda, it looks like, yes, we're having further challenges with the audio from Ikechukwu Okafor in Nuremberg. We hope that clears up. Well, but I think that before we already have some tweets that have come in. Just before we take those tweets, we should get this fairly clear. Abike spoke to that, and I think the other guests too. Just to repeat it, there is virtually no jurisdiction where you do not have the right to protest. And
Absolutely.
there's virtually no jurisdiction. But your protest shouldn't then incorporate assault and battery.
That's it.
Assault and battery. By the time you take off my cap, you remember what happened to late Chibola Ige, when they took off his cap, and then, of course, other events that followed. And then you try to rip my dress off my back, and that certainly isn't protest any longer. So I think that point needs to be made.
And, okay, let's take the tweet first. I'd like Honorable Abike Dabero to speak to the issues that he's raised, Ikechukwu has raised, and that's a very serious one. The passport issue, I know you earlier, were speaking to that, but then let's take the tweets, and if you have any, we have any questions, you could also speak to that. The first one is from Festus Akimboyewa. It says, assault is a serious crime anywhere in the world. Therefore, the assault on Ekweremadu is horrible and ridiculous, and the German government must ensure that those who participated in this shameful act are to face the law.
Now, Sani Michael Amakoji said, no right-thinking Nigerian will celebrate the attack on Senator Ekweremadu in Germany. Resolution can be achieved outside dialogue and negotiation. Therefore, some of these Biafrans in diaspora should consider negotiation rather than attack. After all, Ekweremadu has been doing his best for them.
And Titus Monday says, in as much as I don't subscribe to attack on anybody anywhere, I like politicians to know that there is so much to be done in the country, and youth restiveness and RIF are part of it, and they should be seen doing their best in solving these issues.
Anitha Hogan tweets, the attack on the distinguished lawmaker of our land by anybody under any guise is condemnable. Members of the National Assembly are part of the symbols of our democracy and must be respected and protected wherever they go.
This attack is senseless. That's by Law Alpha C. It says mischievous, petty, cowardly, and calculated attempt to make the faceless proscribed group relevant again. This is a lawmaker who has constantly championed and facilitated the Southeast political relevance. No doubt IPOB is made up of hoodlums and mentally bankrupt persons who should find something meaningful to do.
Mike Anyako tweets, the attack on the former Deputy Senate President, for whatever reason, was despicable and condemnable, no matter the climb it took place. It was also a great insult to Nigeria. We have channels to express our feelings about governance, and those saying that it was a big lesson to other politicians should think twice.
Chris Simeon says now it is left for the Nigerian government to collaborate with the German government to bring the attackers to book. Attack on ex-Deputy Senate President by proscribed IPOB members last week was an attack on humanity and Nigerians as a whole.
Adeye Mayowa tweets, I'm not in support of the attack, but at the same time, what are the channels that we have in Nigeria to express our feelings? This is one of the channels you have. That's why we have taken your tweet now.
And Cecilia Ekweremadu tweets, says, barbaric act on Senator Ekweremadu, ripple effect it is and will cause hardship via bans. Okay, Nigerians will be banned in some countries from traveling, more xenophobic attacks.
Now, Mustafa Maigawa, I believe that's Maigawa, so the action of those disgruntled Nigerians is certainly a national embarrassment to Nigerians.
And the final one is from Akeju Olagbaju. It says, in my opinion, the action is shameful and it's a stain to us as Nigerians. This is another dimension of unleashing terror on innocent people. The Diaspora Commission and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs must look at remote cause to bring perpetrators to book. Senator Abike Dabiri, there was an issue not too long ago of someone who went to, I think, Nigerian embassy and, was protesting, especially with the issue of, getting to have their passports. And Ikechukwu also spoke to that now. What should Nigerians in diaspora know? What is being done to ensure that more people are able to access passports?
Like I said, if we had to do a content analysis of complaints we get, is number one is with passports, and sometimes you wait for a long time. But a lot is being done. Immigration has just put up an advert asking those qualified they want to open more centers abroad. In America, in Europe, to have more centers for passport processing, not just, so they want to have a lot more. They put up the advert, and I believe a lot of progress has been made. And then even in the UK, if you follow up, you find that, there's been tremendous improvement. However, a lot more could be done. We want to get to a situation where there'll be no complaints about passports, but it's gradual. But we believe that, when the right things are done, it will happen. It's a bit complicated. And then again, we also have to learn to follow rules. You're supposed to apply online and then pay something, but then you don't want to do that.
You said pay something. He was talking about the costs.
Yeah, no, I don't know what.
That's a visa fee.
That's for the visa fee, which I'm just hearing from him. Again, we'll find out why. If that is the fee you're paying, everybody is paying. Do you pay separately? You have a German passport. At that point in time, you apply for a visa. What's the visa fee? Why don't you also get a Nigerian passport? So why don't you also get a Nigerian passport? With a Nigerian passport, you don't need to apply for a visa. So those are things that I'll get more information from him. And then most importantly, again, I'll add, the way we behave matters. This is not about government, it's about us. Okay, we've been saying South Africa, they're killing our people, but we're also killing ourselves in South Africa. So when you have Nigerians killing themselves, drug cult wars, it makes it more difficult to complain against the other person. When you have you throwing stones and eggs at your own person, another man's country, it makes it more difficult to demand respect from them. So it's about us and how we behave. It's very, very important.
Okay, thank you. If Kenneth is back via Skype, Kenneth Bundy, I would like you to respond to this. How well informed are some of the diasporans about occurrences back home, so that you don't have the case of, shall we say, mistaken identity or misrepresentation, as happened in the case of Senator Ekweremadu, if it's done so much as outlined by Law for IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu? Why would they now turn around to make him a target of attack? That's the first leg of my question. How well informed are some of these diasporans about occurrences back home? Second leg of it is this. Incidentally, Abike was our guest some weeks ago when we were discussing attacks on Nigerians in South Africa, that xenophobic attacks, and then Nigerian on Nigerian violence. The mentality of some diasporans would appear to be, look, this is not home, this is here. Here we have a right to do whatever we like. But there appears to be no recognition that there is no right to lawlessness in Germany.
Well, like I said, we just came back from the Nigerian Diaspora Day in Abuja, which is the first Diaspora Day organized by the NITCOM since the inception. And the idea is also for interaction, to share ideas on happenings both in abroad and in Nigeria, to come up with a homeland development formula. Again, we invite dignitaries from Nigeria, and Honorable Abike has been on our programs in Portugal and in Austria, where we also have this interaction and ask some key questions. And the invitation to the Deputy Senate President was actually one of those opportunities where the Nigerians in diaspora, especially those people who, like Ike mentioned, who has not been able to go to Nigeria in the last 4, 5 years or 6 years, will have the opportunity to ask their basic questions and from first hand hear from our representative what the issues are, and they can have a good brainstorming. That is why we are very, very concerned that if we invite, if we have our dignitaries from Nigeria, especially our policymakers and representatives, to come and interact with them, and we have such incidents like what took place in Nuremberg, then it limits our efforts, to be able to mobilize Nigerian policymakers to come for a very friendly interaction. So it's a part of a concern. As NIDO, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, we hope and we pray that with Nigerian Diaspora Commission, that the organization that acts as an umbrella organization of Nigerians, which is NIDO, will be strengthened. So if our position is strengthened, we'll be in a position to effectively mobilize all the Nigerian organizations in diaspora, and such interaction could take place as often as possible, where a more robust debate can take place before even these situations or this debate get out of hand that spill over violence. So yes, we've been doing our best. We've been having annual convention. We are actually very, very interactive with the Nigerian community, Germany. I conducted the election of Nigerian community, Germany, twice. I was a member of Nigerian community, both at national level and in Hamburg. Most of the Igbo leaders, I know them personally, coming from Delta speaking Igbo. I know from the leaders of the organizers of this event, from the coordinator, and we have some section of interaction. That's why I was of the opinion that if we have a robust interaction exactly before now, and to see exactly how the programs have been planned, we could be able to offer one or two suggestions that could probably avoid such. But let us not point out to blames like Ike said. But the fact is that yes, the diaspora have the opportunity, they have the mandate or the need to mobilize, to come together and discuss these issues, and we've been doing that from different platforms.
Well, Kenneth, thank you very much for your response. The other leg of my question is left unanswered. I'm just talking about attitude. That some diasporans tend to have the mindset that, fine, now you are, as it were, within jurisdiction, so we will deal with you while you are here. And they have no good cause to do that. Why has that persisted? I mean, you get reports sometimes of hecklers, even in the U.S., and attempts at rough handling persons, who have come from Nigeria to be part of events or activities.
Well, I think it needs more orientation and more robust discussion. And like I mentioned in our first press statement, we live in a democratic country like Germany, for instance, and that there have not been any arrests, like Ike tried to explain, is because as long as the first victim, which in this case is our distinguished senator, as long as it's not pushing for any charges, they likely might have to drop it. That's number one. And number two, they need a very, very constructive investigation, review the video, see exactly who did what, and the prosecutor have to make a decision if this is something they can push forward. So I think the liberty the liberty of the democratic liberty that the diaspora has offered, which we expected those people who have lived here for a very long time to imbibe such culture, sometimes give them the impunity to think they can do anything and probably not face the maximum consequences. But that is the situation, and we are trying to do our best to make sure that such attitude reflects on every one of us, because we're having a rising right wings across Europe, and if we will be very, very willing to stone one of our own and involve in violent attack, then we cannot be very surprised that the right wings politician will begin to demand that all Nigerians will be criminalized, in quote, and which is a danger for those people who are not having a regular stay here for possible deportation. So yes, that mentality needs to change. I will say that you're very, very correct on that. I will have to do more to change that mindset.
Very much, Kenneth Gbandi, for joining us via Skype from Germany. We thank you for your thoughts and your time on the program this morning. But just also to a very big thank you to Ikechukwu Okafo, who's a consultant. He joined us via Skype. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Just before we sign off our guests here in the studio, I'd like Honorable Abike Dabiri to speak to what awareness and orientation should Nigerians in diaspora get, or those that are leaving to be, to go abroad. What kind of orientation should they have so that they can behave better when they travel?
It depends on where you're going. First, when you're leaving, where are you going to? I mean, you are leaving the country, you don't have a job. Fine, you don't have a job here, but you're going to somewhere that you don't even know what's going to happen. So the first thing, you should know where you're going to. And we're going to embark on, working with various diaspora organizations to tell, especially the younger ones. I mean, they're going to say, oh, this and that, but be careful where you're going to. Where you're going to could be worse than where you're running away from. Sure. So that would be very important. And then what will happen to you in some places? For instance, drugs in some Asian countries is death. So we're going to even working with the embassies, as you're getting your visa, these are the rules and regulations. I think that is very important, because a lot of people get into trouble out of ignorance. Mm-hmm. So I think that is very key. And most importantly is the fact that, know where you're going to. And then two is obey the laws of other countries. Yeah. Like Kenneth said there, we're talking about stigmatization. You are the queue, they draw you out because you have a green passport. It's because of the attitude of somebody from your country who behave that way. So this stigmatization, we're trying to tell the world that that's not who we are as a people. These are who we are as Nigerians. We're hardworking. We are the best in the world. Then bad news travels fast. Like I said, that particular event was a beautiful event, but all we heard about was the bad incident. So we are going to make a conscious attempt to celebrate ourselves as Nigerians. Nigerians in diaspora are simply the best everywhere in the world, just as Nigerians generally speaking. So we are going to make a conscious attempt to talk more about those good Nigerians. This week alone, we must have had about 20 success stories of Nigerians in the diaspora. But what are we talking about? A few people who decided to disgrace themselves, not our country, abroad. So we have to do a lot more of that and work with various diaspora organizations. And like I said, we have diaspora desks now in every foreign embassy.
Thank you very much, Honorable Abike Dabiri. She is the Chairman, CEO, Nigeria's Diaspora Commission. Thank you very much for your thoughts and time. And also a very big thank you to Law Mefo, Dr. Law Mefo. He's a forensic and social psychologist and, of course, a representative of Senator Ekweremadu on the program this morning.
Thank you.
All right, that's the first leg of our discussion this morning. There will be the inauguration of the ministers designate in just a few hours from now. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to that.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You are here already?
No, now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me jam questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Later.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.